made. For us, no political party, I said again, no political party has, prepared or showed commitment or readiness to work on these principles, and to God be the glory. Those are the things that made us, the people, the PDP provided us the platform to advance our political career. That's to tell you, if you see people like us in PDP, it is telling you that PDP is ready for, I won't say it, but God spare our life to win this election. Then you will see, you will remember we have this discussion today, and then you will judge us by our actions, because I don't want to talk too much about it. So what I'm trying to say is that in essence, those were the reasons. You asked why. That was why PDP became the better or the best platform for us this particular time to advance and to engage in this journey. You cannot go on a journey without having a critical understanding of the vehicle that is taking you to journey, you understand? If you are going to Maiduguri today, you see a limousine, you see a Lexus Jeep, you see a Turo, and you see a Korokwe, you understand? As a smart passenger who is going to pay dearly, who has a lot at stake, you have family, you have many other things at stake, you need to be very painstaking, you need to, do your homework very well to ensure that you select the best driver, the driver that has experience, that has knowledge, capacity, competence, that has passed through different trainings of driving school, road safety tests, vehicle inspection, everything, and has a driver's license to take you to your journey. So that was what we did, and that is why we are proudly in PDP and proudly chose the People's Democratic Party as a platform or as a vehicle, SPV, to special multipurpose vehicle, to deliver good governance and quality service delivery beyond mediocrity to the people of not only Kwara, not only Nigeria, not only Kwara State, not only our local government, but also our federal constituency.
All right, now let me, on this PDP issue, the Kwara PDP, one of the major criticism against the Kwara PDP was that everything runs through one person, runs through one family, and then we want to break the jinx. But would you say that you saw a new light? It's when you got there, it's not like that or what? Because a lot of people still believe that it happened in your, in your primary elections, that many people did not have to buy their form themselves. They were the forms were bought by the party or by a person, and I think the only people that bought their forms themselves are the senatorial candidates and the gubernatorial candidates. So would you say that you are not, you are not concerned about everything running through one person?
Thank you very much. You see, just open it up. People say that His Excellency Bukola Saraki is the alpha and omega of PDP. That is the clear impression that people have, which is erroneous. I was telling you, you see, God gives leadership to whom He wills. For example, H. Bukola Saraki is not the best human being. He wasn't the one that chose this destiny. He did not design his fate to be the leader. It is God that gave him the leadership. You get me? God made him the governor of Kwara State in 2003. He became the first two-term governor of Kwara State. It wasn't by his choice or by his design. It was God that gave it to him. He became the Senate, a senator, and then in his second time he became while he was the governor, he became the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum. He was not the best, he was not the smartest, he was not the anything, but God chose him to be the chairman of the Governors Forum. In his second time at the Senate, he became the president of the Senate. Do you think all those would have happened without God's hands in it? So what I'm trying to say is that leadership is given. And you see, as human, yes, when God gives you leadership, not only leadership, but when God endows you with some things, human beings become envious, they become slanderous, they become jealous of what God has given you. It isn't you that, earn that thing, it is God's giving. So if people are fighting with anybody that God has given, or they are slander, it doesn't stop God's work. It is God. What I'm trying to say in essence is that it is God that gives him leadership. And leadership is responsibility. Leadership is responsibility. It is who takes responsibility. There are responsibilities here and there. that we all need to take. You as a person, you have responsibilities, whether in your house, in your family, in your estate, in your neighborhood, in your community, in your local government, in your everything. So responsibilities are there lying. So who takes that responsibility becomes a leader. So that is, by the way, that he is the Alpha and Omega. It is God that gave him, that's by the way. But in my own experience in PDP, people say that maybe he is the one that people say maybe me phone or things like that. To God be the glory. My personal experience, we never sat with the leader of the party, who is His Excellency Buko Saraki, that I want Musa to be the House of Rep member. Or our relationship, it wasn't a political relationship. I don't know if you get my point. So I bear witness that he doesn't know anything from beginning. It was the people that came up that said they wanted me, and then the party took decision. So anybody that's talk about maybe somebody give somebody form, giving form is another thing entirely. People's decision to provide who they want is another thing entirely. The aspect of giving form is responsibility. It's leadership responsibility. I could recall there was a time he gathered the aspirants. Okay? He gathered aspirants. We only have 34, let me say 34 elective positions in Kwara State. Is that correct? We have a gubernatorial candidate. I didn't include the, how do you call it, the deputy, because it undergoes another process. Before that is prior the party primaries and other things. We have the governorship candidate. We have 3 senatorial candidates, making how many? 4. We have 6 House of Rep candidates, slots or positions, making 10. Then we have 24 slots for House of Assembly members. Is that correct? So he engaged them. That is leadership. Leadership is responsibility. There was a time he addressed them in one of his visits that we only have 34 positions, and so far over 200 people, precisely about 238 people, had shown interest in contesting for these positions. So he gathered them in an open, it wasn't a secret. Please, everybody will not get these elective positions. There are many other things that will come if we win election, and he urged them to go back to their respective local governments, constituency, and even senatorial district to reach consensus. And of course, you must have known that even the gubernatorial slot in Kwara North passed through these processes, that people should go and reach consensus, so that at the end of the day, only one person would emerge for each of these positions. 34 people out of over 200, about 238 people. So everybody will go and buy forms. Everybody will go and do. You get my point? The money you are going to use to buy these forms, it is going to the party. But as a kind leader who has consideration for the people, you understand? Because if you go and you spend about 10 million naira to aspire, you didn't get. It's only one person that will get that form. So he encouraged them, go back home, meet your people, reach consensus, and bring 1%. And if you do that, I will take responsibility to buy the form, to pay for the forms for you. That is, you see, what people don't understand the concept of leadership and responsibility. It is leadership, it is responsibility that he took upon himself. Nobody forced him, or he doesn't need anything from anybody. And as far as he is concerned, he knows that Allah has blessed him with many things. So he is being considerate by getting those forms, and as the leader, is providing leadership and responsibility. That if you could do that, then how much is the forms? He would take the responsibility. That is a leader, a fatherly role, you understand? To keep the house in order. If you spend 20 million to aspire for this position, I spend 20 million, other people spend 20 million. How much are we talking about? Gone into the drain. Eventually, it is only one person that remains. So he has provided leadership and responsibility, concern and kindness to his subjects. So that was what happened. But that does not mean, as far as the experience I have, whatever I say now, I am talking from experience. I'm not an outsider in the PDP now. So now, this and that was what transpired. Eventually, when consensus were reached at some places, to ensure that it wasn't an underground arrangement, okay? People gathered, everybody gathered. It was an open field. Nobody took any decision outside. You understand? So democratic, pure democracy and leadership in practice. So when people agree or reach consensus, everybody will gather. to confirm that the person being brought is true, that, and in a ceremonial manner, present forms to who the community or the people choose to occupy the position. So what and how is that going to what the people are saying about it? But that is it. A lot will be said, but it depends on the extent of what you know or understand. And some people are actually very mischievous as well. Some people would like to make a mole out of an anthill, you understand? So this is what transpired. As far as I'm concerned, since my emergence as the candidate for House of Rep under this great party, there was never a time that maybe the leader called me to say, what are you doing? Do this, do that, don't do this. You understand that kind of thing. We do what we believe in, and we have been going around meeting the people. Nobody has called me. His Excellency has never told me, Buko, what are you doing? You must do this, you must not do this. So I don't know where that is coming from. But as a person, I can tell you that we are out based on the principles I told you earlier to win this election and establish good governance and quality service delivery to the people of Kwara State and Nigeria at large.
All right. Some people will say that there's a relative peace in your party, but there's something we call the peace of a graveyard.
Yeah.
So some people will say that the relative peace we see in your party is not a peace of a graveyard. Do you think that every head is in order? Nobody is feeling cheated or feeling, let down among the aspirants? Now that you are a candidate, have you met the aspirants, people you aspired with are together? So now, what would you say that you have a real peace and not a graveyard peace?
Yeah, you see, like I told you, in our party we have leadership, responsibility, and leadership, courage. You see, leadership also has to do with courage. You need to look at things head on. Take the challenge, no matter how difficult it is. You take it up, manage it, and reach a point of agreement, no matter how difficult it is. That is what has happened in PDP over time. Immediately after the primaries, as human nature, after the primaries or after emergence of some candidates, some people will feel aggrieved. You understand? It is a normal thing in contest. Like if you go for a fine babe, a beautiful, woman who you so much admire, you want to take her as a wife, you went, do your homework, wrote all the love letters, I come, do my homework, write all the love letters, and at the end of the day, I marry the beautiful woman. So, as a person, normally it is innate, it is part of human. You feel somehow, because you feel but if you have the understanding that nothing is meant for human that passes him, and nothing passes human without being said not to be his by the Creator. So if you have this common understanding, so immediately after emergence of candidates, there are aggrieved people. There were aggrieved people, and as a party, the leadership, the leader. That's why leadership matters a lot in what you do. You understand? He, at his own level, has engaged people. He has delegated, people to reach out to all those things. So I am a candidate. I know what I'm talking about. When I emerged, we have people that we aspired together. I can tell you today, we are on the same, not absolute page. We are working together, and I can tell you to a great extent, to a very great extent, more than 95%. Okay. We are good to go. It is not a silence of the graveyard. All of us are working together. We engage one another. We meet one another. We are working seriously, and we are all united. A common front had been forged, and is being nurtured, and is still being sustained to ensure that we emerge victorious in this election, to come and establish a perfect example of good governance by God's grace. So this is where we are, and I can tell you that in PDP we are very good to go. We do not have any issue, and all the, all those things I told you in the past, maybe after emergence of candidates, we had let it go, and everybody has swallowed and understood that it is God that gives and it is God that takes. Take mine as a perfect example. We did not plan to come, but God brought us. So it doesn't mean that we are the best. It doesn't mean that we have every other thing better than all the people we aspire together. And the same thing applies to the gubernatorial contest, the House Assembly contest, the senatorial position contest and many other things. So here we are. So I can tell you in PDP we are good to go. We are very much united. We have blocked all the loopholes, and I can tell you that we are marching to victory comes 2023, inshallah.
Okay, now let's talk about your motivation.
Yeah.
Your aspiration started with the gubernatorial seat.
Yeah.
The number one seat in this state. You'll be answerable to more than 5 million people, both in and outside the state.
Okay.
Then you'll be sitting with these big men in this country. Because
Okay.
let me ask you,
Yeah.
what was your motivation? What brought about it? Why do you think you can do it? How did you arrive at a decision to aspire for the number one seat of the state?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, like I have been saying, I think even the last time I was here, we talked about something bordering around that topic. Since 1967, precisely May 27, 1967, when Kwara State was created, it is more than 50, it should be around 55 years now. In our journey as a state, a Kwara Northerner only governed the states for only 22 months. I am from that part of the state. If you look at the equation in terms of economic indices, in terms of resources, in terms of landmass, in terms of everything, just mention it, everything. The only international border community in Kwara is in Kwara North. If you talk about federal allocation according to local government areas in Kwara State, Kwara North takes the lead. If you talk about IGR in Kwara State, Kwara North takes the lead. If you talk about population, we are the second population. We are not the least populated in Kwara. So if you talk about the landmass, our landmass constitutes more than 75% of the entire landmass of Kwara. So if you remove this part of the state from Kwara, nothing will be left of Kwara State. And if you talk about fisheries resources of Kwara State, talk about forestry resources, talk about grazing reserves, talk about water resources, talk about even hydroelectric resources, talk about, oh my God, talk about everything, we take the lead. But unfortunately, if you go to the other side, if you look at the developmental indices, both on the benchmark of human capacity development and on the aspect of infrastructure, we are the worst in Kwara. So all those things, since 1997, these are the things that have been bothering me. As far back as that, I know these things and I feel it. So that was why we engaged on a journey. We engaged on a journey to go and equip ourselves, to go and seek for knowledge, both religious, Western, social, every knowledge. For the past 25 years, we went on a journey to equip ourselves, to prepare us to take our future to take our destiny and our future in our hands. So now, I came back, for instance, many of our youths, we are now prepared, even before 2019. So we have this information and background, and we know where we are coming from, we know where we are, and we stood very firm that it is high time that a Kwara Northerner, we are saying these things not because we are sectional, we are not because we are promoting a kind of division in the state, but because it is right, it is fair, it is just and equitable for us to have that opportunity. And to now, fortunately, the youths and many progressive Kwarans deemed us worthy of carrying that umbrella. So when I look, you asked about the motivation, when I looked, they stood firm behind me, despite the fact that we don't have the billions to spend on the election. They stood very firm, honestly and sincerely, that we should go, and after a very wide consultation and persistent call to fly this ticket, we courageously took that decision to aspire for the governorship position of Kwara State. Now, leadership. There are a lot of things that makes leadership. Leadership is not all about your age. Leadership is not all about the dollars or the billions you have in your account. Leadership is not all about the logistics, the amount of vehicles, expensive vehicles you have. Leadership is about connection of the heart to the yearnings, interests, and well-being of the people, which we have perfectly. We know that we have the absolute interests of our people at heart, and that is the motivation. And we believe in ourselves that we have the paraphernalia, we have the wherewithal to take that mantle of leadership, even though, as some people will look at it as governorship position. People may be looking at it by the weight. We are looking at it from the point of responsibility and the service and the opportunity it would avail us to serve the people, to practice what we believe. A mouth. May God spare our life. We are on the air, people are listening to us. By God's grace, inshallah, we are going to occupy that position and people will see our own track record, whether it is just a mouth making or we genuinely have this interest. And before then, we in our own capacity had been sacrificing. We have touched, we have impact. Our track records are there for us to speak for us. We have the facts intact. Those that know that we have this thing. We had in our little capacity served, touched, impacted, grown, mentored, and molded, our people to be very productive and successful today. So that is the motivation. Why people might be looking at the gubernatorial, it depends. That's why I was talking about the connection to the people you want to serve and the good intention and the resolution to serve the people selflessly. So that is our motivation, and the people we have, we know that good people, whether at the grassroots, they were the one behind us. Not that I dreamt to aspire for governorship or I want to be this, I want to be no. It was the people that brought us. And of course, it was because they believe in us, they respect us, we had been tested, they had entrusted some tests for us, and which by God's grace we did not fail. So those are the driving points. We have no doubt, I have no doubt, that we are very capable, competent, courageous, and have all the human material and other networks and resources to establish good governance and quality service delivery as a governor of Kwara State. So those were the driving force.
Okay, let me make some analogy.
Yeah.
In the United States,
Yeah.
a lot of people will say that Abraham Lincoln could be described as the first black president in America.
Yes,
John F. Kennedy could be described as the second.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton could be described as the third. And then Barack Obama, the fourth.
Okay.
But in the real time of things, we know that Barack Obama is the first black president.
Of course.
They say that. Where I'm driving is that these people have protected the rights of the black people even before the first black president.
Yeah.
Now, you talk about the people.
Yeah.
This current administration prides himself as more of a Kwara North administration.
Okay.
I think we now have the radio station in the Kwara North.
Okay.
We now have the Buko market. I think it is undergoing completion.
Yeah.
We now have the Kaiama Guanara Road. All these big all these giant projects this governor has set. And then currently your region is heading the legislative arm of the state.
Yes.
In all, administratively, politically, you are there.
Yeah.
So how do you think these people want to let go of these things for you that they do not know? I mean, you have not had this power before. These people are there. The governor is doing all they can do to, because a lot of people, we've seen a lot of things in the media, we've heard a lot of things as a journalist. This governor is more of a Kwara North governor. So do you think any governor can come in and do better than this governor for the people of the Kwara North?
Well, to start with, I would ask you that, because I've never set my eyes on a formal publication or a formal press statement from the CPS to the governor stating what you said. Notwithstanding, I know that I had engaged many people on this rumor that the Kwara State government is doing wonderfully well, or the governor has even been quoted. I mean, it has been said by some people that the governor is a Kwara North governor. So that is just a side talk. I don't want to call it a beer parlor talk, you understand? There is no single fact. And I am sitting here, I challenge anybody in Kwara State to a public debate to tell me that the Kwara State governor or this administration, what word did you use?
So it's more of a
that
Kwara
it
North
prides itself as a Kwara North government. That is absolutely untrue, factually untrue. But that is by the way, that is the generality of that. But if you talk about, you mentioned Ilesha Gwanara Road on one side, then you mentioned maybe Kaiama. I'm sure you are talking about Kishi Kaiama Road.
Yes, Kaiama Kishi Road.
Kishi Road. Then you mentioned about the first radio station. We give it to the government. The fact that there is no transmission, there was no non-existent, radio station in Kwara North before they do that. What do they call it? There's, I think they call it Notia, or they're about Notia FM. It means Unity FM in Baruten. Though it has not started functioning, but it's a good initiative. Now, to other things. You see, this government can never be said to be the Kwara State government, to be the Kwara North government, based on some facts. According to the International Society of Development, there are two indices that one could use to measure development. One, infrastructure, and then secondly, human capacity building. You understand? So, on the aspect of human capacity, if you look at the distribution of appointments so far, you understand, by the, by the Kwara State governor, since inception, since 2019, I was tracking it, and we have our facts. Actually, campaign has not, whistle has not been blown by INEC, you understand? So, if you look at the appointment pattern of the governor, there is crass imbalance in the distribution of appointments, both qualitatively and quantitatively. When I talk about qualitatively, I'm talking about the, in quote, juiciness. In terms of juiciness, you understand, in terms of the weight of the appointments.
A lot of people will disagree with you on that because this government has engaged in a lot of infrastructural development.
I'm coming.
And the person manning the infrastructural development in this state is from Kwara North. That's the Commissioner for Works, the Commissioner for Works and Transport.
Yeah. You see, what people don't understand.
And then let me put this. Right, the states, the General Secretary, the Secretary to the state government is also from Kwara North.
Okay.
So I would say that you have had a very fair share.
Out of what? You see, this is people. You see, honestly, Kwarans have taken Kwara Northerners for granted. You cannot be talking about out of the several appointments. Have you ever taken as a journalist? And I asked you the other time. I said, please make investigation of all the appointments, both political and non-political appointments made by this administration since inception, and plot the graph or make a pie chart, okay? See what percent goes to Kwara North, what percent go to Central, what percent go to the South. You will see that all these things are, people have taken, one-eyed situation in the land of the blind, becomes something worthy of. You get my point? So I wonder how people will talk. If Kwara North, you've mentioned the speaker, you've mentioned the SSG that Kwara North is occupying. Please count and mention the positions being occupied by Kwara Central. Please help me do that. Mention that. I can mention 20 for you here. Mention that occupied by the Kwara South. So what we are trying to say is that on the aspect of human capacity, human capital development, this in terms of appointment, political appointment, in terms of appointment of heads of parastatals and CEOs of government agencies, there are some boards that you see things, and I will say it again. I've been saying it and I'll still use this medium to say it. You will see situations whereby a board, the chairman of a governing council of a board is headed by somebody from the same senatorial district together as the CEO of that board. These are some of the things we are saying. Like I speak to you, if you go to Subeb, I've been talking about this issue of Subeb. The extant laws establishing Subeb says that there's going to be a governing board. There's going to be an executive chairman, there's going to be an administrative secretary, there's going to be permanent board members, 1, 2, 3, each from each senatorial district. And there are going to be ex-officials, 3 from each senatorial district, outside the local government of origin of the permanent members. Today, we have the Subeb headed with an executive chairman from one part of the state. And then the Subeb has a permanent member appointed from one part or section of the state, while the other 2 sections, Kwara North and Kwara South, do not have. Now, over time, this board has been operating, executing projects, multi-billion-naira projects, distributing projects. We have contract. Who represents Kwara North in that equation? So these are some of the examples, by the way. If you talk about infrastructure, If you talk about infrastructure, since the inception of this administration, this government had that Ilesha Gonara road you are talking about wasn't initiated by this administration. In fact, the last administration had started and covered some reasonable, almost 50% or 50% at least of that road has been, repaired by the last administration before the whistle was blown. Now that this governor came in, it is more than 3 years now. That road project has not, and I'm sure will not be completed even before election. So, but since the inception of this administration had embarked on a virtual arts center here in the capital city, right? Virtual arts center. What is the need-based alignment of that center with the projects? Does it align with the need of Kwara or priority of Kwara? That's by the one. It is established in one part of the state. If you talk about the innovation hub, it's a billionaire project also established in one part of the state. Okay. Now, if you talk about if you talk about all these projects, you get my point. Multi-billionaire project, all of them are established in a particular part of the state. So tell me, what are the projects done in Kwara North that makes, honestly, anybody that says that the governor is for Kwara North, how many projects? Do the equation. What are the number of projects done in Kwara North? What are the number of projects done in other part of the? So I'm telling you authoritatively here that it is fallacious. It is fallacious that the governor has done a lot of projects in Kwara North, and it is untrue. That's by the way. And then the issue of local government, there are critical things that affect somebody as a human. The issue of local government autonomy and democratic operation of LGAs is a fundamental issue that any governor that loves Kwara North will pay interest or attention to critically. No, our local governments are very viable. You get my point. But we have a situation whereby the local governments have been killed, have been slaughtered by this present administration. Since the government came on board and met a democratically elected government, and they truncated the administration of that local government, then we have illegal TICs. Initially it was managed by DPMs, and then again we come and have illegal TICs for over a year now, getting to 2 years, right? So we have TICs managing. Make your finding, you are a journalist. What is the condition of local government areas under these TICs? I am from Baruten local government. I know what is happening in my local government. It is a terrible situation. So a government that loves Kwara North or loves even the state cannot come and kill the local government. The local government has been turned to an appendage of a ministry in the state, that people will even travel all the way from Baruten under a bad road condition and need to come and be defending. That is absolute. I do not have appropriate words to qualify this situation. So these are some of the issues. So it is untrue. We cannot say that this government is for Kwara North. It is untrue.
Alright, okay, now let's talk about the political aspect of this. Let's talk about your chance.
Yeah.
Like, the whistle has not been blown.
Yeah.
By next month, the whistle will be, the main flag will be lifted.
Inshallah.
I will be on the page, you will be talking to the people,
yeah,
what you have for them and all that. But what are your plans for the people?
You see, my plans for the people are the people's need for themselves. That is my plan. What the people need is our plan. Don't forget, it has been how many months now? Since May, June, July, August. It's been 4 months now since we emerged as the candidates to represent the good people of Baruten and Kaiama Federal Constituency. We had gone round. For instance, we have 2 local governments under my constituency. We have Baruten and Kaiama, and the 2 local government areas constitute more than 14% of the population of Kwara State and 49.5%. That's almost half. The half of the landmass of Kwara State is in my federal constituency. And if you talk about wealth, the wealthiest local government areas in Kwara State, my constituency, these 2 LGAs in my constituency are ranking the wealthiest. Talk about IGR, talk about federal allocation, talk about all these resources. The local governments are very well. But since we emerged, we had gone to Baruten not less than, when I say go, don't forget that it's the largest, the Baruten local government area is the second largest local government area in the whole of the federation. We have 774 local government areas. It is the second largest by land mass in the whole of the federation, with almost 10,000 square kilometers and mass. So, why Kaiama is the 5th largest local government area in the whole of Nigeria. And in Kwara State, Kaiama is the second largest local government area by land mass. We, since our emergence, we had gone round Baruten, for instance, not less than 10 times to meet the people. We are throwing governance or representation back to the people now. We went around for the first time we went around, we went ward by ward. In each ward, we met the traditional rulers, we met the party, our party leadership, party members, supporters, and the people, ordinary people, irrespective, because our project is not the party's project alone, it is the people's project. We are coming to seek for the trust of the people to get elected. So it is not, we went to assemblies in each of the ward, we engaged people, we know what they said, they listened to us, we listened to them. We have a comprehensive record and report of what transpired in every of those meetings. We know what the people are saying, we know what they need. So I told you that we had gone to that part of the constituency not less than 10 times. Now, the other local government area, we have not commenced work. We recently started work in one of the wards, which is Adena. We've been there for the first round. We are going to continue very soon as well. So what I'm trying to say is that we know what the people want. And what my plan for the people is what they want. So during that, outing, we realized that there is exclusion, there is gap between the represented and the representatives. We discovered that there's a gap between the governed and the government. So, and we have that perfect understanding. And in each ward, in each community, in each place, we have a comprehensive record of what people are saying and what they need. As a first approach, what we are going to do differently to bridge that gap, we have come up with a Mandate Representative Assembly, which we call the BKPA, Baruten Kaiama People's Assembly. Is going to be an assembly where each community is going to have a representative, and we are going to form that assembly as a means of interaction, because we know that we are going to win this election and we are going to get very busy. We will not have time for everybody, but to bridge that gap, we've started work on that. We have asked the communities to choose from themselves, from within themselves, who they trust, who they believe in, not we now, who they trust, who they believe in to represent their cause. And that assembly, by God's grace, is going to be the epicenter of engagement, of mandate delivery, by God's grace. So, by God's grace, when we win the election, we are going to discuss. We have our own record already. We are going to ask them to engage their people to know, what do you want? What do you want within the confines, within the legislative confines of the 1999 Constitution, which is what? Oversight powers, representative powers, and lawmaking powers. So we are now going to harness those needs by the people and explore the legislative instruments to achieve results or outcomes that align with the need of the people. So nobody will hold us responsible. Yes, we know what is best for our people. We will continue to struggle, but where government miss points, where people get it wrong, or where governance get it wrong, is doing things. You cannot be Mr. Know-All. If I do not discuss with you what are your problems, you tell me your problems. That is when I'll be able to, you get my point. For instance, you can't just look at me like, oh, Musa, let me take Musa to a holiday in Dubai, where you spend 20 million naira for me, for instance. You understand? To you, you might think you have done something, but it is nonsensical as far as I'm concerned. Perhaps what I need, my need, is just maybe 5 million naira would provide. And once government intervention does not, once government representation or whatever fails to align with the need of the people, then it doesn't make sense. It is nonsense. So for us, part of our plan is that we are going to establish that assembly as a forum
So he has a mini legislation, mini representation.
Yes, each community to a great level. We have our template. We started working on it. Like in one of the communities, in one of the districts, in Baruten local government, had in an open space. It was highly democratic. It was free from political manipulation. You know, these are some of the problems. When people get elected, they use government or people's resources for their party members. No. We are not going to do that. So these are some of the things we are going to do. We will separate politics from governance. We will separate people's trust from political party trust. Yes, we have party men. We have stakeholders. We have loyalists. We have supporters. We are going to separate our personal earnings, the allowances that accrue to us as a federal legislator. We are going to be selfless and sacrifice those resources to take care of our people, our needs, our friends, our family, our supporters, our loyalists, our everything. Then that of the people, we will let it be for the people. You get my point? So these are some of the things we are going to do differently. And the major point, things that are very dear to us, that we are going to do if elected, is we are going to put our federal constituency at the epicenter of the realm of national politics. We are going to strive, use our friends, resources, use the leader of our party, who is an experienced and a national asset. You know, we are going to leverage on all those networks we have to attract infrastructure to our federal constituency. And then, of course, we are going to make laws. We are going to sponsor laws. We are not new in making laws, even though we've not been in any National Assembly, but I can tell you, personally, we have drafted bill, you know, that has to people-centric bill, you know, but that is a discussion for another day. So we are going to leverage on all these things. And on the aspect of oversight, human capacity is very important. Our youth, our people are, you know, we are suffering. You can imagine the poverty level. Quite another times we've been deprived. We've been deprived. We have youths, very hardworking, cerebral, and youth that can go anywhere all over the world to compete. But they have been, you know, I don't want to say they have even been killed, because no infrastructure, nothing. People cannot fly to the limits of the sky. So all these things, we have blueprints. We know what we want, but basically, our agenda is going to be sustainable empowerment. We are not talking about I don't want to use that word actually, but we are not talking about peanuts. We are not talking about political empowerment. We are talking about sustainable empowerment. We are going to create opportunities. We are going to create opportunities that we can fall back on. We are going to make necessary things to ensure that youth, we have millionaires by opportunities before the end of our tenure. That's one. Then also, we are going to use all the resources and networks within our reach to ensure, to bridge the gap of infrastructure in that federal constituency. And we are going to be a team player. We are not going to be a local champion. We are going to be a team player to protect the interest of Kwara State by working together with other people to bring things that matters to Kwara State. And of course, we are also going to contribute our quota to enact laws. There are some laws that are very, very dear to our heart. We are going to do all it can and mobilize all support. That is one of the things we know how to do best. We know how to mobilize support to achieve a vision. So we are going to mobilize support to ensure that those values that promotes or enhances good governance, quality service delivery, and breathe life into the local government councils in Nigeria are all the focal point that we, inshallah, we are going to explore the legislative instruments to advance.
I wish we could go on, but we are out of time. But I would just say this, like you would say that the Kwara North, I mean the people from the Kwara North are saying, but some people would say you are not limited. You are the two youngest gubernatorial aspirants in the state in the Kwara. I mean, in the last general election, currently, I mean, in the just concluded primary election, your party, and then your region. Okay. Your region. You're the two youngest. I don't know the oldest. I don't know the oldest.
His Excellency Baba Idris was
but then,
I don't know. Yeah.
But then you had, I mean, your region. I'm not sure if it's your local government. Old the record for the youngest commissioner in the history of the state.
The youngest commissioner. You see, these are some of the issues people like us have with this government, you understand. It is not about making noise. It is not about scoring cheap political points. It is about quality. You understand? What I do say is that it is not about youth. Tell me, what value do the youth possess? What are they bringing on board? It is not about the age now. Age is a blessing. Like I said, we are not against the older generation. They are our fathers. Age is a blessing. We pray to grow old and even older than the elders. But what we are saying is that knowing your onion, having value to offer. You understand? It's not all about bringing a serving corps member to become a commissioner. The question we should ask is, what value does the person have to add to the system? Or what room does the system or the government provide for such people to thrive? You get my point. Like I've told you earlier, I am in PDP. The sky is our limit. So far so good. Nobody has ever come to say that do this, don't do this, do this, do that, do this. We came on a platter of trust. They believe in our capacity, they believe in our competence, they believe in the courage, the party believes that we are capable and we can do the right thing. That was why all of us emerged. Nobody has ever. So, by God's grace, if we win this election, that's when you see the value. It is not just about youth now. It is just not about bringing the youngest commissioner. Yes, a youngest commissioner or whatever has been brought. What value has it added to the system? Are they, you know, are they free? Can they? What value? Let me put it like that. What value have they added? You are a journalist. Let us, where are the records? Let us see the youth that are brought. What value have they added to the system? What have they changed in the narrative of governance and others and so on? That is simply mediocrity that we've been talking about, you know. So it is all about doing the right thing because, for God's sake, not to score political points, and do the right thing, not to be praised or nothing. So I think that is what we need. We need genuineness of intentions. That is for us aspiring and those at leadership positions. Just that genuineness to serve the people. Always remember that it is not about the people, it is not about scoring political points, it is about genuine impact and intervention to the people being that. It is only doing that will earn us, you know, reward from the
Alright, thank you very much. I know this conversation does not stop here. We'll still have some other time. I hope we will be able to to have some conversation after this. Thank you very much, Madam Musa Buko, the candidate for the Federal House of Representatives, seeking to represent the good people of Baruten Kaiama Federal Constituency. Thank you very much, our viewers. It has been a very lengthy and objective discussion. Do have a lovely day. I remember myself, Abdulqadir Isiaq. Thank you very much.
Thank you.